and then she don't have shoes on, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I looked at my sister. My sister looked at me, and she was like, okay, well, let's go back. So we turned around. We asked the girl if she's okay. We parked or whatever, and it looked like she had got in a scuffle or whatever. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So it's just me and my sister. We don't have any men with us. And I'm like, well, girl, hurry up and get in the car. Where do you need to go? Because, I don't need nobody flying in behind us and blocking us in and trying to beat up all of us. So get on in the car. So she got in the car and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? What happened? Where do you need to go? And so the girl is like, well, her boyfriend beat her up and kicked her out of the car because, I guess he must have drove her away from home or whatever and just dropped her off because she didn't have any shoes on, and she was just walking down the street with no shoes on and blood all over her clothes. And I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, so girl, where do you need to go? Where's your family? You have any brothers? Because these brothers need to come put hands on them or at least protect you. So I'm just like, girl, where do your brothers live? And she's like, she had brothers, and she like, well, my brothers, they live in this neighborhood, and it happened to be my same neighborhood, me and my sisters. And we're like, okay, girl, well, that's wonderful. We're gonna take you to your brother's house. I'm sorry. Go get in the bed. Um, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, like, well, I'll take you. And first of all, actually, we asked her like, do you want to come and eat with us just to have you away from your environment? Do you want to come eat with us? We can get you a new shirt, and or if you just want to sit with us while we eat, whatever. But if you can want to come, you can come and eat. We'll get you a new shirt. But she didn't want to go. She was like, well, just take her to her brother's house. Like I said, and it's in me and my sister's neighborhood. So I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. We'll take you to your brother's house. They can protect you. So, so we're driving. We get to the neighborhood. We get to this house. And in this house, when we pull up, there's a whole bunch of cars. There's probably the whole driveway was like full of cars. And so I'm like, okay, this is wonderful because you got a whole bunch of family over here, a whole bunch of family. And if this dude ever pull up, they going to come out here and they going to put him in check. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, all these cars out here, you got a whole bunch of family in the house. So that means, girl, I could sit out here and talk to you, give you a little wisdom if I have it. You know what I mean? If God give me something to give to you, I'm gonna give it to you. So I'm gonna sit out here with you because, like I said, if he pull up, it's all right because your family gonna come out and they gonna check him. So it's all good. So we're sitting in the driveway. We're talking to the girl, and I'm just telling her, you're a beautiful young lady. You don't have to go through that, and that's, we all go through our trials and tribulations, and I'm not one to judge, and that's not for me. You know what I mean? So it wasn't in a judgmental type of thing because we all go through things, and I just don't want to see her like that. I don't know her, but I don't want to see any woman go through that. So I'm just telling her that you're better than this. Just because this man, you could tell like he spoils her with money and things and jewelry and stuff like that because she had a whole bunch of jewelry on and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, that's not worth it. That's not worth your life. So I'm just giving her some wisdom. If I, whatever I gave her, I don't remember, but I guess it was what God gave me to give to her. So, by this time, we're just sitting out in the driveway for a long time. And I'm talking to her, and I'm just like, girl, give me your number or whatever so I can check on you. So I got her number or whatever. So I keep looking back because I'm like, hopefully nobody pulls up. Hopefully nobody comes. So I keep looking back. My sister keep looking back like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody comes because the cars kept rolling by, and I guess they weren't him. So we were sitting there, and a car came speeding in, and I just knew it was him because the car was kicking up dirt. Her block. It's a whole bunch of dirt. It's like I don't know why it's a whole bunch of dirt, but it's a whole bunch of dirt on her block. So like the car was kicking up dirt. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's him. So my sister get out of the car, and I had my little baby. I had my little child with me. He was probably about 6 months. I had him with me. And so, I grabbed my baby in my arms, and I'm like, because I'm about to go knock on the door and get the family members, and I'm not about to leave my baby in the car. So my sister, as I'm getting out the car, my sister's looking at me. She's like, "What you doing? Get back in the car. You better not get out the car." No, she's about to get out the car and go in the house. So the girl is like not trying to get out of the car. My sister's literally outside trying to pull her out the car to get her in the house. And in our minds, we are still thinking like we're at her brother's house and there's a whole bunch of family members inside. And in my mind, I'm like, well, sister, I'm about to go and get the family members because they need to come and check this dude. So I grab my baby. My sister like, get back in the car. I'm like, no, I'm about to go to the house. So I go up to the house with my baby to the front door, and I'm banging on the door, banging and banging and banging and banging on the door. And I think there was like music or something playing. So I'm just banging on the door. I'm like, where's the family members? And so he get out of the car, and I'm just like, oh my god. I mean, oh my gosh. I hear him cussing and fussing. I'm like, oh my god, he about to try to beat up all of us. I'm about to run to the neighbor's house or something because he ain't about to be beating up me and my baby. So so my sister, so all of a sudden, it was a lot of commotion going on. And I'm looking around trying to make sure it was okay for me to get back in the car or if I needed to run to the neighbor house. So I get back in the car, and my sister happened to get back in the car, and then the girl happened to get in her car, and when we left, she left because I guess he went inside the house. This is my that's okay. That's the end of my story. But what my sister told me was when I was knocking on the front door, she went into the garage and she was knocking on the garage door to get the family members. But let me tell you, nobody came to the door. So I'm knocking on the front door, and she went to the garage to knock on the back door. So while she was knocking on the back door, he came inside of the garage and walked in. He said, excuse me, shorty, and walked in the house. So my sister looking like, what the hell going on? Because I think she grabbed a bat or something. And he just told her like, excuse me, shorty, and he just walked on in the house. And she said she was just looking like, well, something ain't right here. So after that, she got in the car, and the girl had gotten in her car, and she left. And we kind of like followed each other, and she was just like, thank you and whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And so me and my sister started talking, and my sister told me that it was his house. And so I put two and two together. I'm like, okay, it had to be in his house because no family members came out. Like nobody. It was a whole bunch of cars. The music was playing. The house was empty. Nobody was in the house. And then for him to walk into the house, it was his house. So I'm like, this girl done put our lives in danger. We trying to be Captain Saver, and she didn't put our lives in danger. Um. So that was a horrible situation. Um, Not only was a girl's life in danger, ours was too, because we're thinking that she has family members in the house, and so we're running up to this man's house. It was his house. Running up to his house, banging on his door for her family members to come out, which it was his house, and no family members was in there. Like it was crazy. I mean, I don't know what I would have done differently. Well, actually, I do know what I would have done differently. I would have took it to the police station because that ran through my mind. That was my first mind, and I always say go with your first mind because it's not your first mind. It's God telling you what to do. My first mind was to say it was saying to take her to the police station, and instead of me taking her to the police station, I asked her if she wanted to go to the police station. I told her that when I picked her up in the beginning, and she said no. And I told her that she need to go because she need to press charges. But she said no, take it to her brother house. So we went to the brother house, which was her boyfriend house. Um, so that's what I would have done differently. I would have went ahead and dropped off at the police station. That wasn't my first mind because there's no telling what this guy could have done to me and my sister and my baby. You know what I mean? We're at this man's house, banging on his door. Not only that, my sister is inside his house. She's inside the garage, banging on that door. And, he could have done anything to us. And let me tell y'all, that was that. But what the funny part is, this whole situation is not funny at all. No woman should have to deal with this. But what was funny, my sister, in her mind, she said that she was thinking like, well, I'm about to run home because we lived in the same neighborhood, and my sister is telling she's thinking this in her mind that she's gonna run home and grab her gun and come back, and she's like, "Well, Ronnie will be okay because I'll be back. I'll be right back. I'm about to run down the street to the house and get the gun and come back." What was she thinking? And it just made me laugh because I was like, I was already frightened at the door, beating on the door, and this man fussing and cussing back, in the garage. And if I would have came back to my car, I would have seen my sister running down the street. I would have seen my sister running down the street, and I told her, I said, "Well, how fast do you think you would have been running for you to go home and come back?" Now that was funny. I cannot, like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, that was not a good plan to leave me. And she said in her mind, she was like, "Well, Ronnie will be okay. I'm gonna run down the street and I'm gonna be right back." I don't know what she was thinking. Like, how fast does she think she was gonna be running? Like, I cannot. So I would just came back around the corner and see my sister running down the street. And in black folks' mind, like, you see somebody running, I'm about to run too. So I probably would have left the car and I probably would have ran down the street too. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done, but that just tickled me because she said she's about to run to her house and grab some protection and come back. I'm like, I cannot believe this. So that just tickled me. Tickled me. But in those situations, y'all, you really have to pray about those situations. And if you ever run into somebody like we did, the first thing you should do, you should take them to the police station. Or if you can, that I mean, I don't know if you should just put people in your car. Um or the best thing to do is, because we were right across the street from a police station. The best thing to do, if you can, just stop by the police station yourself, and if they're close, be like, "Hey, well, this person is going through something. Y'all need to go check on them," or call them on the phone and be like, "Hey, it's probably best to go in and do that if they're that close." Or call them on the phone and say, "This person is walking down the street." That would be the safest thing to do. Don't be putting people in your car. You don't need to put people in your car because somebody can easily, pull up behind you, you know what I mean, and follow you and harass you. And not only that, you don't know if they're telling you the truth. Like, you don't know if you're going to that person's house, you know, the abusive person's house, and you don't know what they're going to do to you. So that's not good. But that was a lesson learned. I feel bad for the girl. She ended up going back. I know. Um, she ended up going back, but we all go through things, and I just pray for her. She was a beautiful young lady, and I just told her that you just have to focus on yourself and get yourself together, and it's not worth it. Sometimes it's okay to be, people can get used to your lifestyle. People can get used to you living a certain type of way and wearing certain type of clothes in a certain type of house and having on certain type of jewelry and a certain type of lifestyle that you're living in. They can get used to seeing you like that. So when they don't see you in that environment, they laugh at you. And sometimes it's okay to be laughed at. It's okay to be laughed at because they don't know your process and the things that you're going through, the purification, because they don't know the situation. Sometimes they do know the situations that you're in, but they don't care because they want to see you um in that lifestyle. And so sometimes we want to live a certain lifestyle so that we will look pleasing or appealing to other people, and that ain't right. Be yourself. Even if you have to be laughed at, sometimes during that purification stage, you're going to be laughed at because you're going to be taking some journeys, going down some roads that you shouldn't be, and you could be looking crazy. And sometimes it's that, and sometimes you have to lose to win. Can I say that? Sometimes you have to go without to get. And a lot of times it's okay, and you just have to be okay and content with where you at in your journey. You just have to thank God that, hey, I thank God that you're with me. Thank God for being in my right mind, and just having what I have. Be grateful for where you're at, but don't but don't, okay, I could say be grateful for where you are because you're not where you used to be. You may be in a bad place, but it doesn't compare to where God is going to take you. Can I just say that? So yeah, you may be in a bad place, but just keep it in your mind, like, this God has more for me. He has more for me. So sometimes you have to look stupid. Sometimes you have to go in places where you don't want to. Sometimes you have to go without. Sometimes you don't have everything that everybody's used to you having. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay. You have to be okay. You have to learn how to live your life for you and not for everybody else. Live your life, live a life that's pleasing to God, I guess. Well, I can't say I guess, I know that. Um I mean, it's just like we can get wrapped up in materialistic things, and and it's okay to have some things. It's okay to look nice and to do the thing, to look nice and do all those things, but don't let those things have you. Don't let those things have you. Don't be like, well, I'm gonna do everything in a book so that I can have this car, so I can have this house. Um, and I'm meaning degrading things or putting yourself in relationships where you're being taken advantage of, um, mentally and physically, you know? And we all go through things. We all go through things. And maybe that's a journey that you have to take. Sometimes we have to take journeys that we don't want to. But I just pray that, when we do take those journeys, that we will know that, okay, this is not what God wants for me. This is just a stop in my journey where I have to learn something and I have to be purified, and that's just it. And you just have to know in your mind, like, okay, this is not, like, if you end up in situations like that, like, this is not what He wants for me. This is not what God wants for me. Rather, if in poverty, you know what I mean? You have to make it up in your mind. And this is not what God wants for me. He don't want me to live in poverty. He don't want me to live like this. So sometimes become, I would say, lax or relaxed, and we could think like, well, and get lazy and think like, hey, well, this is all God got for me, so I'm gonna live like this. I'm gonna live um on assistance, and let me tell you something. One thing, I'm not that person. I'm not the person to put other folks down because they have something or they don't have something. That's not my place. I've been on things. I've had government assistance before, and so that's not what I'm doing. But I don't want, like, let's say for myself, I was young and I was receiving those things, and I shouldn't have been because I was able. I'm still able. Um but I felt like sometimes it's a generational thing, and I don't know where I'm going with this message. It's kind of getting away from where I was, but I guess it needs to be talked about. It's kind of a generational thing, and you're like, well, my mama had it, my grandma had it, my sister had it, my uncle had it, or whoever had it, so I gotta have it. They needed it to survive, so I needed to survive. Um, and that's not true. You have to know your potential. Sometimes you have to surround yourself around people who got more than you have, and not people who have what you have. Because the people that you surround yourself around, they inspire you to do more, or they don't inspire you to do anything, depending on where they're at in life. Like, I don't really have any friends my age. Like, my friends are older. I have some friends that are teachers, um, accountants. Like, some have like they own their own businesses. Like, and these are all like mostly like my church family, but they're all older than me. Older. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Just surround yourself around people who are doing better than you. And don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. Be happy for other folks when they're in their ups, and when they're in their downs, pray for them. And let's get back on that topic. But you have stops in your journey, And don't become relaxed with that and just think like, well, this is all there is for me, because it's not. Um, you have to know your own potential. You can't really wait for somebody to come around and show you your potential. You have to know your own or learn your own. Ask God to. He's the only one that can really do that for you. But yeah, that's my story time on that. I'm just, and I got off topic. Maybe I'll make another video about something else. But on this topic of, domestic violence and things like that, or abuse, and that's emotional, physically, and spiritually. Um, a lot of times those I was trying to end this video, but a lot of times those people who are abusing people, they are torn somewhere. Rather, if it's mentally, physically, or spiritually, they're torn somewhere, and they're taking their aggression out on somebody else, and that's what it is. So, when you're dealing with people, you just have to ask God to heal them spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Um, yeah. So, and on top of that, I'm trying to end this video. On top of that, when you're dealing with people, you have to know that if somebody is spiritually sick, if you're not spiritually strong enough, you will become spiritually sick too. You will. And that's fact. So if you're not strong enough, get some strength, go to the source, get some strength from him. That's what we're going. Good night, Junior. Nothing. Okay. Good night. I'll be in there. Go into bed. Okay. Yeah. But yeah. But when you're dealing with people, when you see some things like that, the best thing for you to do is to call the cops. Go to the police station or something like that. Don't be putting people in your car, and don't be taking people to no destinations. And if you see somebody happen to be, walking down the street like that, and then that car come back and get them and put them and throw them in the car, take the tag number, give it to the police. Hopefully, sometimes they do their job, sometimes they don't. Just hopefully, pray to God that they will do their job and they will go after that person, because it's their job. I mean, but yeah, anyway, that was my story time. It kind of drifted off somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, that situation was horrible. It was a learning situation. It was sad. It was horrible. It was learning situation. It was funny. Not the situation, but what my sister said, that she was gonna run down the street to her house and come back. That was hilarious. That was I can't believe. I cannot believe that was running through her mind. I can't believe it. And not only that, I'm the type of person, I deal with smells. Smells remind me of things. Like if I was dating this guy and I had a certain smell, like if I was wearing like midnight, I forgot what they call it, like something like, let's say cherry blossom. Like if I was wearing cherry blossom during this relationship, every time I smell cherry blossom, that'll remind me of that time. So my sister had on this really good perfume, and I told her actually that, that perfume it smells so good, but after that, that perfume remind me of violence and domestic abuse, and I told her not to wear that no more. But anyway, that's my story time. I hope y'all like my story time. And I know I'm new to YouTube, so if there's something that you want to hear, let me know. I know that I'm not gonna just try to do um, small direct vlogs or videos. I mean, I don't know who wants to see that. Just that. I mean, because I know when I was looking for my um if I when I was interested, I did look at those videos, but it's not something I always want to see. So if there's something that you want to see that you're interested in, then let me know. Just put it in the comments or something like that. Like I said, I know I'm new. I don't be on YouTube all the time. I have a lot going on in my life. So let me know what you want to see, rather if it's inspirational, if it's story times, if it's the Smile Direct. I mean, whatever. Well, thank you. And good night, y'all.